I'll say good morning. It's 5:45 a.m. Sun's not up. It's the 10th of August, and my car temperature gauge is telling me it's -1. There's a little bit of ice on the windscreen, and I'm in Netty Bridge in Scotland. I'm about to head down to Loch Garten before the sun makes it over the top of the mountains and try and take some photographs. It's what people often refer to as the golden hour, or a little bit earlier, the blue hour. So let's hope the light is good and the conditions are still, and we'll see how it goes. Stick with me. And the woolly hats come out. It is that cold, but believe it or not, for August. Well, what a morning. Came through the forest, and the car temperature tells me it's -2, and as you can see behind me, the conditions are great for a bit of mist. It's just starting to rise on the lot. You notice the gloves have come out as well. It is a bit chilly. So the sun's still not up. You can just about see it about to kind of breach the horizon, so I'm really optimistic about what's going to happen here. But just something I thought I would mention. Often on conditions like this, particularly as you get more around to the autumn and winter, an issue you might come across when you get your camera out and set up like this is moisture on the lens. And a way to avoid that is don't store your camera in a warm house overnight and then come out into these type of conditions, because it's obviously the sudden change in temperature causes the moisture to form. So if you know you're coming out on a morning like this, keep your camera somewhere cool, maybe in a garage or something like that. Obviously make sure it's secure so there's not such a temperature change and you avoid getting the moisture. It's really annoying if you get somewhere like this, you want to set up quickly and you end up with dew all over your lens, and you have to wait, clean it off and wait for it to the temperature equalise. So just a tip for you. But I'm going to take some photos and keep watching this amazing sunset, or sunrise even. So I've moved about 100 yards along the side of the loch, mainly because as I pulled up I saw these trees and thought it provided a nice silhouette, but also just where I was earlier, because of the mist, it was actually just a photograph of water and mist, which was pretty uninspiring. Now I'm not saying I won't go back, but as conditions change, I'll head back around there as the light comes up a bit more. But at the moment, as you can see, this is providing me with a lovely silhouette, and there's that bank of mist or fog just in the background, and it's moving slowly. So lovely conditions. A nice bit of reed here. Actually, my my feet are getting a bit wet, but it's worth the sacrifice. So I'm just heading back, going to walk along the loch side a little bit. Some of you who know this area will appreciate that just behind me over my shoulder, that's the Loch Garten RSPB reserve. In fact, I can see the visitor centre. It's famous for its Ospreys, but that's not why I recorded this piece. It came to mind that I love being out at this time of morning. I love being out photographing these type of conditions. What I hate is being cold and miserable. So it's just a lesson to always bear in mind that to pack the right sort of gear, and I don't mean photography gear. Woolly hat, you wouldn't typically bring a pair of woolly gloves on August trip to Scotland. But there's nothing worse than coming to a place like this and then having to pack in because you've got too cold or too wet or too miserable. So the photography gear is one thing, and a lot of people talk about their photography gear, but actually it's just as important to make sure you're comfortable and dry and warm. And in some of the other videos you've seen me wearing a midge net. That's all important part of the process of capturing great images. If you're not comfortable, if you're not happy, it'll show in your images. So just remember, one, you're packing your camera and your tripod and such like. Make sure you've got your waterproofs and your woolies and those type of things. It all helps in the process. So the sun's just try and make it down to the edge of the loch here a little bit. The sun's just a bit higher in the sky, so it's creating some nice colour in the background. As you can see, what I was talking about earlier, at the moment it's beautiful because there's a lovely reflection on the loch. But if I took a photograph of that, it'd essentially be a reflection of whiteness. So I'm going to wait a little bit longer for conditions to change. But I wish I could share kind of some of the atmosphere. I can share the images, but I can't share the atmosphere. It was a beautiful day like this morning. Seen a couple of ducks and I can hear geese in the distance. Sorry you can't pick that up on this microphone, but it's almost perfect conditions. So I've walked along the loch about 500 yards. Do I say yards or metres? Depends whether we're American or European, I suppose. Or over 40 or under 40 as the case may be. But as you can see, the sun is starting to burn off some of the mist in the background and the mountains are being revealed. So what I'm hoping for is that mist will just continue to drift and more mountain will be revealed. It's like unwrapping a fantastic gift. I know that probably sounds a bit romantic, but and I know what the mountains look like. You know, I've seen it countless times. There's always something special about the mist revealing a new view. And as you can see, the loch is absolutely dead calm. Not even a ripple. It'd actually be quite nice for photographic purposes to have a duck or something swimming across. Maybe that's a bit too cliche, but you know, we can hope. Let's hope. See what happens. But I hope you're enjoying the views as much as I am. So it's now 6:45, and as you can see, things have progressed quite nicely. The mist is moving down the loch and revealing a stunning morning, stunning landscape. One of the things people quite often ask was the question, how do you expose for something like this? Because there's quite a contrast in different light levels. My advice would be to look at the brightest elements in the frame, which at the moment would be the sky. Take an exposure reading, either with your camera or if you've got a light meter, use a light meter. I tend to use the camera. I think light meters are a bit fiddly. Take an exposure reading off the sky, frame your composition, and then work away. But then make sure you have a check of your histogram. Now what you want is a histogram that shows a nice even distribution. You probably can't see. So it's just after 7 AM and I think I can reveal that the mist has lifted and given me that wonderful view. Absolutely perfect. Flat calm water, just a little bit of mist and wonderful colours in the sky. So it was definitely worth getting up at 5 AM and being here early. And people do say, you know, why bother get up so early? Why not just come during the middle of the day and do the same thing if the conditions are right? And the answer to that is, well, one, obviously at midday wouldn't get the same kind of mist conditions, and you often find that the weather is at its calmest at this time of day. But also the light would be so harsh that the resulting images would just be impossible to replicate this kind of condition. You'd end up with just so much flatness in the images because you're trying to deal with such harsh light from the sun being overhead that it's not worth doing. So I think you'll find most people who shoot landscapes are shooting in that blue hour and that golden hour around sunrise and sunset, when you get much nicer lighting conditions, much nicer conditions for generating a final image, and not quite just a harsh contrast. Plus, if I was here at midday, there might be other people around, but I've had this place to myself for the last hour and a half. So it's definitely worth that 5 AM alarm. I hope when the images come out that they do this justice, but as you'll all know, a photograph never really does justice to experience it in the flesh. So if you have an opportunity to get up to this part of the world, I'm in Abernathy Forest, Loch Garten in Scotland. It's well worth the trip, and I hope if you come, you get these glorious conditions that I've got today.